Well, greetings. Let's talk about Colorado, shall we? I'm discussing this in the living room, downstairs. A little different scene than usual. That's a fish tank, because we believe in high tech. So, man, Colorado. Where do you start with Colorado? That is a serious question. Like, I'm sure the big thing on everybody's mind is, well, you get rid of Duchene, right? And then what? What do you get rid of him for? Matt Duchene's a great player. Matt Duchene is an incredible talent. He is one of the best young forwards in the game. And I don't say that with any sort of deception to making that comment. I think he's fantastic. But he shows it in international tournaments. He hasn't shown it in a full 82-game schedule for a bit now. He's had a couple down years. And the team being where they are and his stats not being where people expected them to be leave you in a situation where you're probably not going to get full value back if you trade him. So you can't trade him. The obvious answer this summer is, you just fire Joe Sakic. It doesn't change the fact that Duchene and McKinnon have been disappointments in Colorado. And I'm aware this is a Nordiques hat. I don't have a Colorado Avalanche hat, and I couldn't find my Rockies one, which is fine because that's a New Jersey Devils hat. See how messed up this gets when you're collecting old hats and new hats at the same time? Franchises, cities, who knows? But, all kidding aside, this can't continue. Tyson Yost is going to have a roster spot next year. Mikko Rantanen proved this year that he is a top 6 forward. You have restricted guys like Andrew Ghetto, good bottom 6 guy. Nieto, one of my, I mentioned when he's picked up on waivers by Colorado, I'm really surprised San Jose just let him walk. I think part of the reason San Jose fell short against Edmonton is because they let some of their best underrated guys go. But I digress. And Wingles was another one that I thought, why are they letting this guy go? But with where Colorado's at, you've got McKinnon, Duchene. As we put McKinnon and Duchene together, you get McCain and Duchene. Landeskog, Soderberg, Colborne, Como, Compher, and then Rantanen and Yost that I mentioned before. Andrighetto, Nieto, and Grigorenko are the restricteds. Now, Grigorenko, I'm believing he's probably going to go and play in the KHL. He'll get more money, I would think, in the KHL to play than he's going to get in the NHL this coming season as an RFA. He's not going to get a raise. He's not. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado doesn't give him a qualifying offer, because of course, I'm pretty sure this is still the case. A qualifying offer, you have to give somebody an offer of a 10% raise on their contract in order to retain them. And I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado looks at Grigorenko and goes, we'll let him walk. And then he becomes UFA. And I can't see him attracting a lot of attention on UFA. Just can't see it. He's still young, but he hasn't shown anything at this stage of his career to justify making a 3-year commitment in him. And he's going to want a 3-year commitment. He's not going to want to already be bouncing around with a year here and a year there and potentially go into the American League. So Grigorenko's probably out. Rocco Grimaldi's been kicking around in the minors. He's RFA. They may keep him around and insert him into the lineup and see if Grimaldi's finally going to become a full-time NHLer. None of this is going to inspire Colorado fans with confidence. None of this is going to make them say, hey, we're going to turn things around. This is going to be our year. The only UFA that I have a feeling is probably re-signing in Colorado is John Mitchell. I'm second cousin to him. I think I'm second cousins to him. Cousin through marriage. So my cousin's married to his cousin. You guys can do the math and tell me in the comment section below. At any rate, I've never had anything to do with him. I don't talk to him. I'm not gonna. I'm funny that way. I'm not gonna out of the blue message guy. Hey, you're in the NHL. Can you tell me about? If he's second cousin, then if he came and talked to me, great, cool, awesome, that's fantastic. If I could get a Colorado Avalanche autographed jersey as my little nephew has, that'd be awesome too. But, my nephew's gone to Colorado games. They lived not too far from the Avalanche at one point. They get tickets for Avalanche games because, he's close to his cousin, my cousin-in-law. So I think Mitchell goes back there because he clearly likes it in Colorado, and I think it's a good match. And he's 32 years old. He gets one more year and goes back there. On the blue line, you have Johnson, Barrie, Beauchemin, Barberio, and RFAs, Weirkoch, and Zadorov. I like Weirkoch. I always like Weirkoch because of his name, because it's so close to being Weird Crotch. And I've always had Weird Crotch stuck in my head as his name. And for that reason alone, I want him to thrive in Colorado. I want him to thrive wherever he goes. I was happy when he was in Ottawa. I would love to see him in Vancouver. Just Weird Crotch. That's just, sorry, I know that sounds weird, but it's his name. There have been as many rumors about Duchene. There's been as many rumors about Barrie leaving Colorado. And it makes sense, but when you already don't have depth on the blue line, trading out one of your best blue liners, you're the worst team in the league. I'm befuddled at the very idea of it. Big Raw could move up. Andrei Mironov could step in and have a top 6 spot. But again, when a KHL guy's coming over, I don't look at KHL stats. I don't put a whole lot of stock into it. I can get kind of behind the idea of a line, like what is going on in Vegas, where Vegas wants Dadonov as well. That makes total sense. Two guys who played together on the same line, dominated together in the KHL. If it was two defensemen from the KHL coming over, played together and been really good together, I get more behind that. Because I'm old enough to remember when Fedosov and Kasatonov came over to the Devils. I just aged myself a lot. But there's problems here. In net, Varlamov hurt most of the year. Calvin Pickard stepped in and played really, really well. Then he goes over and he plays for the World Championships and plays well there. His stats were good. Spencer Martin, middling numbers in the AHL, but he played 50 games. And maybe Martin gets a shot at the backup role to Pickard, and maybe they find a taker for Varlamov. I could probably drop one of these guys on Vegas, whether it was Como or Varlamov. But even with these guys all on the team, and there's some big market or big money guys here, right now they would have $18 million in cap space. And again, this cap friendly goes by the $73 million number. $18 million in cap space is pretty good. They can add 2 or 3 pieces. They can add a blue liner, a top-notch blue liner. So Shattenkirk, if you want to look way off, way off, and I know Shattenkirk wants to play for East Coast team and he wants to be on a contender. I tell you, if they picked up Shattenkirk, and if they moved Duchene out and got 2 more pieces back, and if they fix the problem in management, all of the issues that have gone on there, you might have a team that's in the mix for a wild card next year. I'm not going to predict that they're going to do what the Leafs did this year because I just don't see it. Part of the reason I don't see it is because I don't see the talent for the Avalanche that the Leafs have. I never thought I'd see the day I said that. I kind of feel wrong saying it. I kind of feel dirty saying it. Landeskog. There were all kinds of rumors about Landeskog going to Boston, and I kept hearing about the pieces going back to Colorado, and I think it was the last one I think I heard was a first, a second, and Brandon Carlo, and I'm like, no. And clearly if that was the offer, the Bruins said no as well, or the Avalanche were crazy and said no. Landeskog's numbers have been bad. This is where the problem comes in. These guys are paid a lot of money and their numbers haven't been good. And I know people are going to say, well, if they were traded out of Colorado, they get better. You can't bank on that. There have been plenty of GMs who've banked on this guy's going to get better numbers when he moves. Rick Nash, Columbus. Marian Gaborik, Minnesota. These guys play for defensive teams or not necessarily great teams. They move on and they don't necessarily get better. Their numbers don't necessarily get better, at least. Maybe they become better all-around players, but their underlying offensive numbers don't necessarily improve. So, it's a risk. And when you're adding in the fact that they've got a big cap hit compared to the amount of output that they give you, Colorado could be in for some tough times. And they're already in tough times. And then they got screwed at the draft lottery. They're drafting 4th. So where Patrick would have really helped Colorado, Hischier really could have helped Colorado because it would have given them another forward and would have let them potentially give up a Duchene for lower than market value because they know they've got this guy coming in, and not right away, not before the season, but as the season rolls along. Let's say Patrick's playing really well, Duchene's role's been diminished. Maybe they give Duchene up for a prospect and a second rounder and just be done with it. But they're not going to have, in all likelihood, a prospect coming in who's going to be able to do that. I mean, let's say at 4th overall, let's say they get Vilardi. Vilardi isn't projected to be NHL ready in the fall. It wouldn't surprise me at all if none of the top prospects in this year's draft are ready in the fall to crack their NHL teams. It's a risk. So I don't know. Let me know if you're a Colorado fan. Let me know how you see this getting fixed. Because I watched some Colorado games and all I saw was just a completely dysfunctional team and players who should be playing so much better that just for whatever reason weren't. And I'd really appreciate feedback from Colorado fans with which of these guys do you think gets moved out first? Because I don't know what the market is for these guys. And I have a funny feeling that Duchene and Landeskog could get moved because Colorado has shown that this is dysfunctional on a colossal level. And Sakic needs to fix it. If he doesn't get fired this summer, and I don't think he will because he would have probably already been fired now, he has one more year, I think, to fix it. Despite his tremendous resume and everything he's done for the Avalanche as a Stanley Cup champion and being there since the team moved from Quebec, that goodwill only goes so far. You can only lose for so long before a team says, man, we can't do this. Even Wayne Gretzky has been fired in the NHL. So anybody can be fired. And, Sakic definitely, I would think, probably has one more year to turn this around. He needs to make dramatic moves. And he needs to start at the draft. And he needs to find a way to make a deal with Vegas. He needs to sit down with Vegas and when they're doing the expansion draft, figure out how this is going to work. Because Colorado, more than any other team, and that includes Vancouver, and that includes Arizona, Colorado more than any other team right now needs to figure this out because they got a lot of young forwards who are making a lot of money and they're not moving up. The Canucks have a lot of their money tied up in old players who are going to come off and they're going to be able to fill that roster. The Arizona Coyotes have a lot of guys on entry level, a lot of guys coming in, and there's a lot of upward momentum that's going to hit soon in Arizona. I don't know how it works for Colorado. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And sometimes I think the videos for the teams that are in the dumps like this could end up sometimes being longer like this one because there's just so much that needs to be fixed. And there's a lot of cap space to do it, but who goes to Colorado? Who jumps into that roster and says, I'll fix it? Who would be the best guy? Let me know what you think. Hit like and subscribe. Do it. Do it. There's still 37% of subscribers who are non-subscribers. People who watch my videos who aren't technically subscribers. So go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It's your friend. And then for the rest of you, thanks for watching. And thanks for commenting. And thanks for being there. And I'll be talking to you again before the end of the night about the Columbus Blue Jackets.